Right now, you can take a virtual tour of the Birthplace of Country Music Museum, and here to share with us more about the tour that includes a special new exhibit is Rene Rodgers. Thank you for joining us today, Rene. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. How about you?
Oh, doing fantastic. And as a lot of us, you're working from home right now, correct?
I am indeed. Yep, I'm down in my little living room.
I love your background. Got the books going there. It's a great looking living room there.
Oh, thank you.
Let's talk about this virtual tour. Tell us all about
it. So about a week and a half before the museum had to close due to the COVID-19 guidelines, we had opened a special exhibit called Real Folk, Passing on Trades and Traditions through the Virginia Folklife Apprenticeship Program. So with only a week and a half being open, not many people got the chance to see it. So we have spent some time going around the whole exhibit so that we can share it with people virtually. It's a wonderful photograph-led exhibit full of, there's probably over 130 images in there,
right,
just of all the different crafts and traditions that are being carried on in Virginia through these master artists and the apprentices who are learning the trade or the craft from them.
And we talked about this. We had actually previewed that before we shut down here in the studio, but it just seems like that not a lot of people got to see it because of the time constraints, but now more people it's going to be opened up and more people are going to be able to enjoy it and partake in this as well.
It is, and what we've done is we've made 5 different videos so that you don't have to take in the whole exhibit at once.
Right.
You can take it in stages, and that gives us time to also share aspects of the exhibit in a bit more depth than we would if we were doing the whole thing all at once. But, you know, we focus in on the images and tell you about the artists that are working on those trades, and it could be anything from things that we see here in this area all the time, like banjo playing, right, or mandolin making or country ham curing, to some of the types of trades and crafts that are coming into Virginia from immigrant populations, so like Mexican folkloric dance, Iranian and Persian classical music, but then also some things that are sort of outside of music, like folk art. There's a wonderful folk artist called Mama Girl who did these wonderful paper mache type artworks that are just beautiful and vibrant, and we're very lucky to also have some of those objects on display too in the museum.
And I know none of us know exactly how things are going to go with the pandemic. Are you planning on more of these virtual tours around the museum coming up as the weeks go on?
Well, yeah, you know, as we watch what happens, that might be something that we offer in more depth. I mean, right now, right at the very beginning of our closing, we did a series of videos that were sort of touch points of different areas in the museum. So I sort of picked out the things that if I was showing someone around the museum and I only had a limited amount of time, here's some of the stories I would tell them. Mm-hmm. And so we did do that, and those are shared on our YouTube channel. So people can certainly get an insight into the museum content through those, and there's about 12 or 14 of those, and we also include a few activities in there for kids, and that's something else that we've been doing is creating some activity sheets for children about our content, and you know, they're also fun for those of us who are young at heart. And we've done the same thing with the Real Folk exhibit, is we're creating a series of activity sheets that go along with that virtual tour, so you can sort of interact with the content in a whole variety of ways.
And you're talking about interaction there. I know everybody, we want to be safe, we want to be smart about things, but you do miss interacting with the folks that come to visit the museum.
Oh, we do, and you know, our volunteers, they're almost in withdrawal from that interaction that they have, because it's one of the most pleasurable parts of our jobs is speaking to the people who come through the doors of the museum, who've come from all over. You know, we've had visitors from all 50 states and over 45 countries, and just hearing why they're there, what they think of the exhibit, why they're interested in the history. A lot of them have personal stories that either tie into the people that we talk about, or that their own families made music in this area. So we do really miss that, and I think that's probably the hardest thing for everyone, isn't it? Is just not having that contact and that social contact with your friends and
yes,
family, and even with strangers.
It is tough. Amy and I talk about not having our guests here in person every day, but let's talk about the fun side of things too. You all have a Nipper the dog look-alike contest. Now, first of all, tell us a little something about
on our YouTube channel. And Nipper was if you know the Victor Talking Machine
yes,
Company logo, or the modern like RCA logo where it has a little dog who's sort of listening in at the horn of a gramophone, that was based on a real dog called Nipper. And after his master died, he went to his master's brother in London, and his and that was Francis Berard, who was a painter, and he painted that image originally with a cylinder player. And when the owners of Victor saw it, they asked him if he would redo it with a gramophone from their own line. And then they started using that as their logo. So you can see it on all the records, you can see it on the actual machines themselves, you can see it in commercials and all sorts of things. And so we're doing a Nipper lookalike contest, a chance for people to show us pictures of their favorite furry friend, who either looks just like Nipper, and he was a terrier type dog, sort of like a Jack Russell looking terrier, or if they can get their dog who doesn't look like Nipper to do the pose, that would also count. And we're going to pick out the winners and put them up on Facebook for voting, and then the final winner will get a great prize package.
All right. Renee, thank you so much for taking some time with us today. It sounds like y'all have got the content going out there, and folks can take advantage of the Birthplace of Country Music Museum.
Yeah, well, thank you. We appreciate it.
All right. Folks, the Birthplace of Country Music Museum, we're going to give you those addresses right there for the YouTube channels and for that Nipper the Dog lookalike contest as well. A lot of fun happening there at the BCM Museum.